Hey y'all, welcome to the Clock Tower. I'm Colton here with Brandon. A lot of updates on a few different fronts to get to, so let's get to those. Three events over the past few weeks. We'll go all the way back to March 1st, talk about Toronto, 169 players, and Brandon, a blast from the past for the first time in this season. Tokyo Revengers not only tops, but takes home the dub in a major event. Honestly, I'm just impressed.
Yeah, absolutely. Seeing Dual Liners make its way back into the top like this is definitely, yeah, I would agree. Impressive is the word I think. Able to go into essentially the new meta with a real plan as to how to take on the current builds, as well as kind of prepare around some of those things. I think, it was a really great meta call.
It's always fun to see when the meta gets changed up by either a new release or a ban list or whatever, how people respond and what can kind of make its way back in. When you think about it, it makes sense because Dual Laners is now, I guess, one of the very few big board decks that you're going to see because no one's really playing for board right now. Its strategy is pretty much unimpedable. We were talking before we started recording, and you had mentioned that slime is like the thing that was playing the most memory counter. And now that slime has been pretty thoroughly taken down a peg, it makes sense that the thing that kind of shuts off dual laners, or specifically the top end related to the dual laners package, that being gone allows you to just kind of cook.
Oh yeah, and I think that actually having the versatility with the level one Dual Liners as well as the Pachin that this deck ran specifically, I think is actually really nice in this kind of format, that you can kind of take advantage of whichever route you need to go, depending on your matchup.
But yeah, congrats to our dual laners Toronto champion, which is a sentence I thought I would never get the chance to say again. Really impressive stuff. Really impressive stuff. Love it when something comes out of nowhere and pulls off a massive dub like this. And we've talked about this before. The most dangerous thing in this game is one player who knows their set, who knows their thing, and can play it at a high level, and you don't know how to play into it or you haven't prepared for it. Those rogues who play one thing and play it really well, the most dangerous people in the room at any given time. Rest of top eight: Caligura, a pair of Quints, one Miku, one Itsuki, Salvage Barbochi, Ozkigura, kind of a mishmash slime thing with Salvage, Pansorimaru, and Murin all kind of in the same list, and then an Azure Lane. I've been on this train for months, so I'm going to take my victory lap. Thank you very much. Gura is still the best top end in Hololive. Four tops for Gura. Three with the Kali, one with Ozki. Gura is still the best top end in Hololive, even limited to two. I would rather have two Guras than three Marines any night of the week. It's just so good. You can basically rig your top checks. You're going to get 3 out of 4 burn ones in addition to the burn twos, plus the soul from the big swing. Like, not to mention you also now have an off lane that you can do stuff with. And you can do all this for 5 stock if you have the 2 on Ame. And if you have extra stock, you can put any number of other things in that third lane. A Kali, the Aqua, there are plenty of options. Gura is still Hololive's best top end. It requires you to play 10% better to get your 2 Guras and to not let them get buried. But it is still, if not an elite top end, still an extremely good top end. And I'm happy to see people finally playing it again. because people were off of it, and that was why it wasn't topping. It wasn't because it wasn't getting. It wasn't because it wasn't succeeding. It just wasn't getting played. And then as soon as people put it back in, bang, 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 you got four in top 16 at one of the biggest events of the year. I love to see it.
Yeah, no, I think the explosiveness of Gura definitely plays a factor here. Being able to potentially close from outside of 3-0 pretty consistently, I think is actually a big key factor why Gura is still relevant.
Rounding out top 16, those two other Guras, SDS, an Ichika, a Miku, so two Ichika, or excuse me, three Ichika and two Miku in top 16 because another Ichika further down. Our first Blue Archive, Pants Choice, and a Chainsaw Man, Himeno Aki. I think we could pretty safely say that Chainsaw Man has settled into where it's going to be in the meta, which is definitely a threat to win and something that it's not surprising to see in Top Cut at this point.
hmm it's also interesting to see Blue Archive make its kind of debut not too long after its release. I suspect this is the double advantage build, just based off of the wording, but not 100% sure. But either way, having Blue Archive in the running already after release is definitely a sign that it's kind of also beginning to start working its way in.
Yep, as of recording, we only have access to about half of the list. Only about half the lists have been reported to Avis over on Weiss Tea Time. Moving on to France, 61 players. Top 8, Bochi the Rock, Nino Quince, Guilty Gear, another Nino Quince, Ichika Quince, Watame Marin, Ari Frueta, and then another Chainsaw Man. A lot of usual suspects here. Ari Frueta has not topped much this season. It's been a second. Actually, scrolling through, it has not topped the season up to this point. So the first top of the season for Ari Frueta, which when it dropped, I think everyone kind of agreed it was pretty interesting at least, and it was pretty solid. It definitely had a path, and then everyone kind of realized, oh wait, you could just deny the memory condition, and Ari Frueta never really recovered from that. So to see it make top 8 is always fun. I don't think there's too much to write home about here. It's all pretty normal stuff. Obviously, Bochi the Rock getting the dub, 61 player event, so not a big event, but Bochi the Rock very much another one of those decks that has found its place in the meta. It's kind of on that like high B tier, right? Because I don't think there is anything in S tier at this juncture. There's nothing that's just far and away the best thing in the meta. So like if you have an empty S tier and like your usual suspects on the A tier, Bochi's pretty solid B tier, kind of in the same place as Chainsaw Man, where you're going to see it in Top Cut and it can absolutely take down an event.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just definitely this one being a little bit more along the lines of what we might expect to see. With just a couple, with I think Arifreta being that big outlier there.
And then finally in the Netherlands, 78 players on March 15th. Chloe Maureen Hololive, Standby Ruby, Ichika Quince, 8 Pants, Spy Family, Nino Quince, Overlord, another Tokyo Revengers, and Shauna. So Tokyo Revengers now officially a part of the meta now that people have seen the success in Toronto. They're gonna pick it up probably, and maybe we'll see it a little bit more as we get into the end of the season and then maybe into Summerfest. Overlord making its way into top 8 despite not having the 2-1. Definitely still something, although it's definitely lost a lot of its consistency. It's still a thing that can succeed, especially perhaps at these smaller events. But other than that, I don't think there's anything too crazy here. 8 Pants Spy Family, another set that's like really fallen off. It was pretty popular when it dropped, and then it felt like the entire meta took a step forward like right after it dropped, and then we just kind of never saw it again. But yeah, nothing too out of the ordinary here, especially considering that we just had a Tokyo Revengers win 2 weeks before.
I do like the Ruby having the three different standby combos there. Um, It basically is just splashing in the Pura combo on top of the other 8 standby there. So it's just interesting how it would splash in and have that go through. But definitely a really interesting play with that deck. Uh, it's playing into the new combo, obviously, but I just the way it was built, I thought was actually really well done.
Ruby, another one of those sets that's found its footing in this season, I think.
Yep.
It's good to see more stuff kind of settling into that B tier, for lack of a better framework.
I mean, we saw seeing 7 different titles in top 8 here in the Netherlands, I think is actually a really good thing too.
Yes. Yes, it is. I don't think this meta is stale. I think if people don't like this meta, it's because they don't like the direction that the game has been going broadly, and I think that's a fair complaint, right? Stuff's been a lot more explosive, games are shorter, decks are more consistent, sometimes nauseatingly so. A lot of stuff that's not really interactive. Like, if you want to dislike those things and make that known, I totally get that. But I don't think anyone can say that the meta is boring in that it's the same decks over and over and over again, because it pretty clearly isn't. Like, Tokyo Revengers just won Toronto,
Yeah.
and Gura, which had been written off by so many people, was the most represented deck in top 16 in one of the biggest events of the year. So I don't think that stale is the right word for this meta. If somebody wants to raise a complaint about it, which again I think those complaints would be valid, but there is a lot of different stuff you can do. Enjoy it while it lasts.
We have our last tournament this weekend, so it's kind of ending out our season here pretty
Yep,
soon.
yep, just the one left. In Pasadena, which is always a big event. Always interesting to see what happens at the last major singles event of the year, as people come in from all over trying to get that last ticket to Worlds. So we'll see how that goes, and we will update you accordingly. That is coming up this weekend. I will be watching basketball. Let's move on to the next major set of events from Bushy Road. Summerfest. The schedule is beginning to roll out. We have a lot of weekends, not a lot of firm dates. So, like, if you are playing Weiss, you don't know if you're playing on the Saturday or the Sunday yet at a lot of these, but you can at least know, like, what weekend we're talking about. So, you know, maybe start the process of taking time off work or whatever you need to do to make sure you can get there. This is the Trios event. This is not for Worlds. For those of you that maybe don't know, this is the 3-player team event where you and 2 teammates bring different decks from different titles. You sit next to each other. You play against another team of 3. Best 2 out of 3 wins the round. It's a lot more casual. It's my favorite event of the season. I love Trios. It's the event I look forward to the most. I just think the atmosphere is really fun. People are bringing a lot of their stuff that maybe they wouldn't have taken to a singles environment because it's maybe a little bit less competitive. Obviously, people are going to bring their stuff, right? There are going to be plenty of teams that bring the best stuff, but the whole atmosphere is much more casual. It's much more relaxed, and mostly people are just kind of there to have a good time because there's nothing really on the line except for flawless segue. These prizes. Everyone's going to get one promo for showing up, one of 6. And the art on all of these is good. 2 of them are Blue Archive, 2 of them are Bunny Girl, and 2 of them are Rurouni Kenshin. If you you also have a chance of getting the hot stamped version. So this is actually unique. So it's a 1 out of 6 chance you're going to open your promo pack. You could get one that has a stamp, which is pretty cool. The stamp version is usually given to winners. This time, everyone has a chance to pull a stamped version of these promos. Top 8 will get a foil promo of the Fantasy Theme Cup 2 Soul from last year, which I think is quite nice looking. Top 4 teams will get a congratulations top 4 Summerfest mat. The champion will get a foil 2 Soul with the same art that's on the playmat.
Definitely having the prizes out and available already and having like mats to play, for example, I think is actually going to be really good.
Mats are good prizes. I think mats are an appropriate prize for a tournament of this stature. Like, it's not the most competitive event on the calendar, but the mat's still good. It's good to get a mat, and the Bushiroad mats tend to be nice mats too, and you also get to show off a little bit.
Well, and the prize
So it's
cards for at least top eight and up are not prize cards that are essential to any one specific deck, which I think is really important too.
yes, as much as getting a vanilla promo as your prize does not feel great. I'm not going to pretend that it does. At the very least, I would rather have it be that than something you absolutely need or something that's actually like important to a set. A unique, like bespoke profile that you can only get as a champion promo or as a top 8 promo. I don't even love it when they're like the free fight promos, to be honest. Like, that's annoying. Because then if you can't get to the event or if you go top 8 and you don't get to do free fight, like, it's a whole thing. So then you have to shell out however much those promos are. Don't have to worry about any of that with any of this. Same vibes for the side events.
Yes, that was plural.
We're going to have a top 8, quote unquote, single elimination tournament. It'll be run on Bushiroad as a side event. You can't be an active participant in anything that's going on. But after you drop, or presumably if you go on the day when Weiss is not happening, you should be able to get pooled into an 8-player single elimination 3-round event. Participants receive a copy of a Vanilla Pants CX from Bang Dream. The art is good. The champion will receive one copy of said good art as a promo, as a foiled promo. You can only get one participation and one champion prize every day. So if you win a tournament, you're done. You can't go back in and try to fill out your playset of these.
But that language
Um,
also is why we think it might be able to happen on both days, is because if it's limited to one prize per day, then if you're doing it over the weekend, you might be able to get this twice over the weekend.
Free fight still exists. It's its own thing. It does not require Bushy Navi. You just get a free fight form, and after you play 3 matches and sign the paper and do all that rigmarole, you get a stamped copy. Well, Summerfest specific promo. It's not really stamped, I don't think, but a Summerfest branded copy of the Idol Theme Cup promo from last year. So if you missed out on that promo, you can go get it. You can get up to 2 of those every day. I don't see any reason to do free fight when you can do the single elimination, personally. But I also think that the Bang Dream promo is way better than the Idol Theme Cup promo, so it's something to do. Like, I think the big thing is it's something to do that's a little bit more interesting than free fight. Because, like, if you don't care about the promo, then you can just play games. You know, this gives you a little bit more of like a little bit of like a competitive flair, but it's also not that serious because the only difference is like getting the foiled promo versus the promo you're already gonna get. Like, yeah, it doesn't say that you can't play in more than one single elimination event on a day, but it also says you can only get one participation prize. So I don't know how that works. Maybe you would be able to, like, I already got my promo, but I just want to play again to try to get the champion promo. Maybe you can do that. Don't know. But yeah, in any case, I like the addition of the additional side event. Big fan of that. I would love to see them expand the prizing a little bit or maybe make the prizing a little bit more, I don't know. Like, the card is nice, but if you're a player as opposed to a collector, there isn't a ton of there isn't a ton of push to play this other than just to play. So, which is fine. Like, I'd rather them have this than nothing. I hope that in the future they expand it a little bit. Maybe work out something with the vendors for packs, perhaps, or I'm also always down for a Shioko promo. Like, I feel like Shioko promos are a little bit nicer than set specific promos that you can only play if you're in that set. So, but that's just me. In any case, I'm not going to complain about it. It's nice to have an additional side event that isn't free fight.
Yeah, and I think the
And it's
introduction of that thing for this time around too, I think that's going to be a real trial run to see whether or not this continues or not. So,
also pretty sure this is different. The free fight promo you get after playing 3 matches instead of, I want to say it was 4 or
yep,
5.
it was 4.
It was 4. Yeah, it was a lot, especially because like the line can be long and it can take a while. Cutting that down to 3 is the appropriate move. I think they listened to all of us complaining about how obnoxious it was, and also it gives you a much better opportunity to get the promo if you have to drop out of the tournament after round 3. Like if you drop in round 5 or round 6, well, I guess not 5 or 6 in a trios event. That also might be one of the reasons why, is because there are fewer rounds in a trios event. But if your team decides to drop after 3 rounds of trios, you'll have more than enough time. I mean, you'll be able to play each other for 2 of the rounds. So it won't be difficult to get that promo if you want it.
This last season was also for 3 matches as well.
Oh,
For,
okay. It was for 3? Okay.
but I think that was a start for this past season.
Okay, because it was 4 before. I remember how
Yep.
long it took when we were at, because we went to New York or Newark, wherever specifically it was, and we were there for the whole weekend. So we did free fight the day before, and it was like it took literal hours to get that promo. It was really obnoxious. I remember because it was the Review Starlight promo, which again they stopped doing this, which I'm grateful for. But I really wanted that Review Starlight promo because it was a good little one up for the deck, and I wanted it. So like grinding out all those games, it wasn't obnoxious to get to the point where I got that promo. But I'm glad they don't do that anymore. They've made events better. I feel like I want to make it very clear that I'm not complaining. They're making these events better. All right, let's wrap up by talking about what's coming out in the next couple of months, because we have some updates on that front. First things first, Persona 3 Reload is out. And I don't know if we mentioned that Blue Archive is out last time, but Blue Archive obviously it's out because it topped in one of the events. Persona 3 Reload is out. It is Neo Standard with Persona 5 and Persona 4, but it's trait locked, so your mileage may vary if you are an old Persona 5 head. Bunny Girl 3, March 28th. So after the season's over, we're going to get Bunny Girl, which is going to be the first of the extremely powerful things that we're going to see at Summerfest. The next one, of course, being Nikkei. Marvel comes out in between those, but it's available in like 3 countries. I'm not saying I don't care about Marvel because it's not available in the United States. I don't care about Marvel because it's not available in North America, South America, Europe, Australia, Africa. 5 whole continents that you can't get this set on. Also, parts of Asia you can't get this on. Like, 10%, maybe 20% of the player base gets to play Marvel in sanctioned events. That's why, to make it very abundantly clear, that is why I don't care about Marvel. If it was only unavailable in the United States, it would still be extremely relevant because 3/4 of the player base throughout the rest of the world could still play. But when it's such a small slice of the player base, you can't really think of it as part of the meta, especially going into, like, you can't play it at Worlds. You can't play Marvel at Worlds. Why do we care? Whatever. We've already had that rant, not having it again, even though I already kind of did. Nikkei, happening April 18th. Trial deck, booster pack. That's happening. Rurouni Kenshin, May 30th. Licorice Recoil, getting its second set, June 27th. Hatsune Miku, 5 trial decks, and a booster pack for Colorful Stage. It is not Neo Standard. With Project Diva, we checked. I don't think you'd necessarily want to mix the two anyway, but it is not. We did double check that. A new announcement, July 18th. We're going to get Bang Dream Ave Musica, trial deck and booster pack. Hence the Bang Dream promo at Summerfest. And the new Lorcana set will drop July 25th. Again, only in a handful of countries in Asia. I'm sorry, I've been informed by my producers that this is in fact a Weiss Schwarz set called Disney Mirrorverse.
It's Lorcana, but for the other end of the world. Um,
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
yeah. There is a JP stream coming up on March 27th. For a product stream for all of their products. We bring that up only so that way we can talk about, hey, there's likely going to be another product stream for Weiss in the near future. Our current guess is probably like mid-April.
Yep, it'll probably tell us. I mean, I don't know. Like they haven't been announcing things as far ahead, so like we might only get one or two announcements during that April stream. But you brought up something when we were talking about this yesterday, off air, that we haven't had an English exclusive in a while, and if they're going to announce one, this would probably be a good time to do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty. I think Nikkei took our English exclusive spot because I think that that was supposed to be more simultaneous release that got delayed.
Yeah,
And so that would have been our winter slot for that. But since we didn't get one for that time frame, my guess is that we will likely hear about one for this next stream. If we don't hear one for this next stream, I think English originals are done.
probably either that or super infrequent. But yeah, really excited for Bob's Burgers or BoJack Horseman or Paw Patrol, whatever it happens to be. The English exclusive Major League Baseball set. I would laugh so hard, but I would also absolutely play that. 100%. Please let me have a Boba runner, please.
Anyway, yeah, so I think I just wanted to bring that up so that way we had that out there. That's what we expect to see. So we expect more news in the near future here, but this kind of wraps up the amount of news that we've gotten over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for your patience as we navigate the end of my busiest season of the year. Brandon's still very much in the middle of his. But we should be back to a normal schedule now. We'll have something next week. We'll have a clock talk in 2 weeks. Till next time, thank you so much for joining us. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and have a good one.
We'll see you then.